Hello, my name's Ajay Ryan. You're watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. Today we're happy to welcome back Asif Hanif. Asif is a freelance journalist as well as being a human rights and peace campaigner. He joins us today to talk about going beyond the label ethnic minority. Asif, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, yes, this topic, going beyond the label ethnic minority, I know it's something you feel very passionate about. First of all, was there an actual defining moment in which you came to somehow the conclusion that the label ethnic minority was just not good enough for you?
Yeah, the defining moment about that, when I was campaigning, voluntarily campaigning for political conscious, in Britain to educate the communities to vote. And where there was a meeting, member of parliament and executive members were there. And in spite of my whole, focus and fully participation into the British politics, by being a part of the society, they've asked me, you're Pakistani, you're Muslim, why can't you become another ethnic minority officer? I stood up over my foot and I said, I beg your pardon? I'm not an ethnic minority. I'm part of the society. Because I came to this country with my choice and I wanted you to treat me not any different from anybody else or not putting me into the pigeonhole, because then I can not simply do which I can do in a greater canvas. I don't want to be an ethnic minority officer. I just want to be a part of the society, and I can do a lot. And they would say, why is that? I said, I was an ethnic minority when I was in the country where I was born. How could you say that? I said, yes, because I live among the people where they look like me, they believe like me, they talk like me, and when it comes to really execute the moral values practically, I found myself completely strange. There I call myself an ethnic minority because we are taught something else, and whatever happens is something else. But here I made my choice, and please leave me a part of the society, because that would be an unfair. I have accepted it, and you also accepted me, because I'm not dragging the issues where I was born. I'm just doing it, yes, being harmonical and being a part of the society. So that was my defining moment where I feel really passionate. I really need to do something, like the people have spent their life in generations, and still we need to be called ethnic minority. No, I don't want to be called. We have given everything, our life sincerely to this society, and I really need to belong somewhere. There, worldly I belong here. That was the defining moment.
Okay. Nowadays, it seems like every time I fill in an application form, there's always a survey. There's always a section called, the ethnic minority, where you have to tick a box and say, well, I'm British, Asian, or whatever you happen to be. And of course, also companies and even educational institutions these days are actively trying to go out of their way to recruit people of ethnic minority. So in that sense, it's obviously, something that could be looked at as a positive way of just trying to get more ethnic minorities, as you say, to become part of the society or part of those companies or part of those educational institutions.
Yet there is a question. On one hand, you are saying equal opportunity, and on the other hand, ethnic minority. I simply cannot understand how these two get along together. Once on one forum you are trying to campaign to the people, yes, you belong to Asia, you belong to Africa, you belong to any part of the world, but you are here, you have played a role in this society, so you are British. On the other hand, we are trying to create, what is your ethnic origin? How could we achieve equal opportunity when we purposely and planned that we really need to put people in ghettos? These differences people have overcome. Like, I want to be brief about it. When the Britishers have freed their colonies, they have not bring the slaves with them. Like, take an example of subcontinent, Indo-Pak. there was a movement when the British in 1947, they freed in Tobago and
India, Pakistan.
India and Pakistan. They freed it, and afterwards, they were Indians and Pakistanis. They came with their choice and live in England. So they have overcome the ethnic minority and the short-sightedness of their own conscience. And now we again stuck into the same. Why was that idea launched in, I think, 60s and 70s, when most of the people, those who came to Britain after Second World War, there was a shortage of workers. Most of the males or the soldiers have died into the wars, and there were proportion of the male to female was less. So we invited these. These people came. They have only one agenda: straight away. They are here to work, make money, and go back. But after some times, by living here, there was a movement about it to make the people realize, yes, you came here to work, and you have played a role, a vital role in the economy and the country. So you're also a part of the society. It was that campaign by that time where the people have that stereo attitude in their mind. They said, okay, I'm going to go do this job 5 years, and then I'm going to go back. But with the passage of the time, they have created linkage, and they have understand the society, and now the society has opened itself. Okay, you're not an ethnic minority, and we wanted to make you feel like home. Okay, you want to go back, but you are not going to be treated any more different, a person who is born and bred here and a person who has come here to work. And that idea was, I really salute that campaign by that time. But now, today, in I think 2007, and in the years to come, 1, 2, third generation is there, and now this question is, there should be no undermining on the basis of ethnicity. The British is, you can be British, and it is no more impossible, and it is possible, and you are a part of the society. So that is why, I wanted to initiate that, because they have initiated by that time to recruit the people. Now I understand it. I really want to thank that movement and the treatment and the British government and British people's hospitality, that I really feel free. If you ask most of the people, they really feel scared. They really feel insecure living in their country, and they are more scared here. Now I wanted to show that gesture. Thank you very much for treating us with the hospitality, care, and considerations, and you have overcome your own prejudice and welcome other parts of the world and the people. So now it is my gesture to now I feel being a part of the society. And we really need to move in a positive way by being one. Being one, having different faiths. Being one, having different values. These faith and values comes for the integration on the point that we exchange similarities. We don't give race how different we are. Because you can only be, make your friends by liking what goodness in them you like it, not by criticizing what you don't like in them. So what goodness we have, the goodness is an attitude to relate, integrate, and associate. That is what it is.
Okay. You mentioned earlier Britain's colonial past, and of course this year, 2007, marks 200 years of the abolition of the slave trade here in Britain. Now, it's 200 years, but if you look at ethnic minorities today, especially if you look at the kind of jobs that they are doing, do you think much has really changed, or are ethnic minorities still in some sense the slaves or the modern day slaves of our nation?
I think recognizing slavery as an illegal, I think, is a giant step made by the West. And I think there are not much nations who take the responsibility of their wrongdoings. Not much nations. That is what we needed today. And I think if the West come up, okay, sorry, we apologize. We have done wrong. We have abused the humans. We have done it in a wrong way. That is a big part. Now, ethnic minority, now the people, those who belong to these ethnic minorities, now they have to stand up. And they really need to raise their voices. injustices within their own communities. Like, opportunities by and large are the same for anyone who is born and bred here, or anyone who came here and his kids were born and bred here. But the focuses of the two are different. Why the ethnic minority people don't feel it and raise their issues and concern and take part by being a part of it, why they always need it to feel, oh no, that is not my country. No, it is your country and your right. The need is you stand up and make your voice being counted. Why all these petty jobs and things like this? Circumstances would not be changed.
But I mean, in line with, I guess, your whole argument that the term, the expression is almost, you could say, derogatory. I'm not an ethnic minority. It's because it's being, therefore, associated with people who are being victimized or are victims of society, because they're being, like as you said, pigeonholed, and therefore they are going to be cleaners, or they're going to be building contractors, or whatever it is that is somehow associated with being, just a lesser, somehow, individual in society.
Ajay, yes, very rightly. We all experience that. But the campaign about that is, it is not complete unless and until you don't add the second phrase. I'm not an ethnic minority. If we project the campaign in that one, that is an aggression, that I'm forcing it. But it is a compliance. I'm not an ethnic minority. I am part of the society.
My parents' generation, they came here, and they are ethnic minorities. They're Asian, and they were stereotyped as all kinds of things, and obviously all very negative at that time. But they themselves, when having been in this country for more than 20 years, when they saw other ethnic minorities coming into the country, especially in West London, the Somalian community, they had the same attitudes, the same prejudice, the same kind of perspective of looking at a new community of people coming into the country and thinking, oh no, we have to be wary of them, oh we can't live in that neighborhood, or be careful when you go there because of such and such, in the same way that they were being victimized. So in other words, ethnic minorities, no matter how big or small they are, tend to find other ethnic minorities or other minorities to persecute, and so the cycle continues.
You're talking about, ethnic minorities and then further minority devolution within the communities. Yes, it's right. People, those who have come, 20 years ago, and people, those who are coming, they are calling them freshies. And those who came here, who are coming now, they call them British-born confused daisies. It is about the conscious within the communities. If you really need to address what your issues are and raise yourself above all this further sex and differentiation within the community, then you create a majority interaction. Why the ethnic minorities are more ethnically and once in a way, in a very rude way, that they look down upon those who are just the fresh migrant, because they think they are better, and whatever happened in the difficult times to them, they have not become a superhuman, and they have taken that grief into someone who came afterwards, which really needs to address. I think the problem in British society is now, it is not cross-community. It is within the communities. All the different communities addressing their own internal issues with as much integrity and as much understanding as they are addressing their own question of being a part of the society. No, they are not addressing it. And now we really need to address the issues, and we really need to find the solutions. And that is why we're finding out, the areas and the communities are living in ghettos, underrepresented. Like the common impression about the British society is about the Muslims. And in the Muslims, the Pakistani Muslims. I wanted to say to all those people, and Pakistanis, British Pakistanis, what are the reasons why you are not sending your youngsters, your kids to the education where these opportunities provided equally to anyone? It is about the communities, those who have to really take care and play a part and role, because they have decided to stay back. It is not the system is going to rule them out. Yes, there are certain on stages, but above all, if you really wanted to, like I wanted to say yesterday, there was a survey came out of truancy. You know, the kids, those who bunk their schools and does not go. So when the truancy comes, in that report, it was Indian, it was Bangladeshi, and it was Pakistani. Indians was, I think, 6% per year. Bangladeshi was 8%, and Pakistani was 8.2%. Now, this truancy and the issue, rather than we associate ethnic minority, we really need to find out the reasons. We really need to question the people. Like this society, the British society, is fulfilling its responsibility towards you by giving you all the basic amenities of the life. Now, what you are doing, now it's time. You cannot find an escape, by saying it. No, I am a dual national. This is not, I belong to, this is not my culture. No. When you have decided it, it is about, you see, we have heard about United Nations Convention of Human Rights. But we really need United Nations Convention of Human Responsibilities as well. And would also encourage people not to publicize their differences. Not give them away that we don't need it. When there is a criteria. When you wanted to integrate, okay, you integrate it. There is no underlying things or there is no shortcuts. People, those who made, they're born in a country, they live for the rest of their life. Their choice. If you made your choice, you want to go and live somewhere else. So respect the choice and respect where you go. Now it's time for the ethnic minority communities to really stand up. Otherwise, I am seeing now that in the near future, the Commonwealth Union is going to be weaker. And we are going to change it with the European Union. Why these reasons are? Why we have decided now to focus on the Europe or Eastern Europe, and why we are turning a blind eye towards Commonwealth countries. It has the reason because the people have never projected themselves to be a part of the society. And this is the time, the generation like you and me, we have to stand up. People have made sacrifice. Our forefathers have made sacrifice, and we have given sacrifice in the world, but you cannot discard us, by putting in ethnic minority and other side. Okay, that is not the order of the day. Okay, that was the past. No, it's not going to happen like this. People are going to question. You have given them the right, and now if you don't give them the fair right, then they will question, because that is now embedded in their blood. They question. In Britain, by being British, you have every right to ask, and you have every right to express your opinion. But I wanted to say, express your right and call a question in a way that creates harmony. And it should be two-sided. And that is why I feel passionate about that campaign.
Asif, I've noticed that many of the newsreaders on our main broadcast channels here in the UK are of ethnic minorities, but would you say that stories representing or of the ethnic minority community are represented fairly?
Yes, that is a good question, Ajay. There are certain issues and there are certain ways of reporting in the media, like in a state of when we don't want to focus on the issue, we really wanted to put them under the carpet, then we say, okay, that belongs to that community. Okay, this is their attitude. This is how they treat it. No, it is not their attitude. We really need to find out what are the reasons. We really need to get to the bottoms and the roots of that cause, and understanding it by escaping the subject and by ignoring our attention towards it, saying it ethnic minority. We really need to find it out. Why is the reason? It might be our attitude. Like I wanted to give an example, like last year when it was July bombing and all these things, the whole Britain was on standstill. Like the media and the politicians were again in the controlling lane of, damaging our harmony. But I really salute to the British people and the multicultural British societies that it has stood up all together. There was one incident in Stockwell. The guy, I don't want to go into that, whether who is right and who is wrong. the police. I don't want to criticize it. When you are in that situation, so your mind is not in place. You were just being shown a hysterical, or you were just shown a hallucination picture like Ajay is dangerous for you. I never knew. I'm told to do it. So my reaction would be entirely very, incompetent and, unidentified. So that was, the guy was shot down in the station. It was in southeast London, Tooting and that area where lots of Asians live. So the first headline in the newspaper was an Asian. Goodness gracious me. Now the whole Asians were standing. Oh God. Here you go. Now we have to face that. It was Asian. Then the second day it was, Muslim. So now the Pakistani and Muslims are on a standstill. But when it comes to the reality, he was a Brazilian. The way that the media now report about the different communities, I think needs to change. And also, how it can be changed? It cannot be changed overnight. The communities need to register their reaction. Don't be an scapegoat so anybody stick an issue and pass it on. You have to react it, and you have to stand up for the credibility. I think the media would be more sensible, would be more conscious about it if the communities take this as a serious issue. And that is the half part, the way the media reported, that is the half part, the way the community reacted. Like if they react to, and if they really make a voice heard or register their protest, okay, that is not wrong, this is right, then they will be very careful. Up to now, it has been used as a scapegoat. Anybody does anything wrong from any community like Indian and Pakistani, okay, a wrong story is going to be more inclined to get into the papers. But anything that right or good or harmonical they make it, you will find it on somewhere very small down there. We have to change it. Do the positive nude, more coverage, little small tiny act of goodness that, and these negative image less, because that negative propaganda which is unreal could affect the harmony, and that harmony have been achieved over the years. And I think we all have to work and struggle towards it. It will not be achieved, by sitting and by saying it, okay, I came here, this is how they treat it. No, this is how you treat yourself. You need to treat yourself rightly, so you have to make and be counted. And be counted in a way that people understand you.
Well, finally, Asif, if we look at ethnic minorities on a world stage, especially if we look at the Asian or South Asian community, they're not the minority at all. And in fact, we in Europe, the European community, an aging population, 25 years from now, we will very much be the minority. Now, when it comes to looking at nations, not just a society or a nation, but looking at nations themselves on the world stage, do you think that there are certain nations that are themselves minority or treated as almost the same as ethnic minorities, and other nations which seem to be in a club of the superior kind of elite category? Would you say that's a fair assessment?
I think in the 21st century, the concept of democracy needs to renovate itself. Once on one hand we are raising the globalization, on the other hand we are getting ourselves into the groups. And you see, in the West or in the United States of America, they claim themselves to be more democratic. But I would really raise a finger to that democracy. And even American people have raised a question about it. What kind of democracy are you perceiving, where you hold elections and there is no result? So what does it mean? It means that politicians and politics have failed to invite the people and create a passion about playing their role. And that role needs to be on a level that democracy represents all those, whether they vote for you or they vote against you. When democracy becomes and the government becomes, they said it, in West they said it is the most human and most practical way of the government. So that most practical way of the government really needs to represent what people say, not what they think. What is all the problem in this world nowadays? The politicians put their own voice into it. and ignore what the people have chosen for themselves. So the nations, in a state of us getting into the groups and create a minority, and that minority influence the majority. So that is why you see war against terrorism and the matters, the way that we are dealing with the world today, especially the peace. Everywhere, peace, peace, peace. But what is the mechanism we are adopting it? We are giving guns to the soldiers. I really salute and respect that they passionately obeyed the command. Now, the question is the command right? Are they representing the say of the people? And are we creating understanding, or we are just trying to, overcome those who are weaker? It really needs to change. These things, the concept of democracy and majority, minority. When you come into power, you represent all, at all.
Asif, thank you very much again for coming on The Defining Moment.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching The Defining Moment for creating the culture of conscience. If you'd like to find out more, we're on the web at www.definingmoment.eu. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the best.